All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, travelers. Welcome to Reach the World. For over 20 years, Reach the World has used virtual exchange to inspire youth to become curious, confident global citizens. My name is Tim, and as part of Reach the World's efforts to support educators and families during the COVID-19 epidemic, we'll be sharing free live stream discussions with some of our standout travelers from recent years. You can find an updated calendar of live stream events and much more at athome.reachtheworld.org. Today, I'm thrilled to be speaking with Benjamin A. Gilman International Scholarship recipient, Alyssa Kaewwilai. I think I got it, Alyssa. We were practicing before the call. Last year, Alyssa traveled to Samoa and shared her experiences there through an incredible virtual exchange with fourth graders in Minnesota. And if you haven't already read her articles from Samoa, I'd highly recommend you check them out. We'll put a link to her journey homepage in the YouTube chat sidebar. Also, please use the chat bar today to let us know you're here and share any questions you may have for Alyssa as we go. We'll get to as many questions as we can today. Thanks again for joining us. All right, enough about that. Let's go on a journey to the South Pacific. Welcome, Alyssa.
Okay, hello everyone. So last year during the spring semester of 2019, I went abroad on a program with SIT, which is School of International Training, and I was on the beautiful island of Samoa. And the really nice thing about this program was I got to go to, I would say, probably at least 5 different islands during my time in this program. So I started out in Hawaii, and that was where I had my orientation. And then after that, that was a week-long orientation. I went over to the island of Samoa, where I lived for approximately 4 to 5 months, and I lived with a host family. I learned the native culture and the language, which was really, really nice and a very unique experience. And I even went on excursions to other islands like Fiji, which was also a really nice experience to have, because if it weren't for my SIT study abroad program, I really would not have had that opportunity.
Awesome. What sort of got you interested in studying abroad, or is that something you've always wanted to do?
I definitely have always wanted to study abroad, and I think it mainly stems from my interest and my love for other cultures and other languages. Because I know, like for me, I'm a Thai American student, so just combining cultures and always being open to different languages and different people and how they celebrate life and they celebrate each other, that's always been something I've been very intrigued by. And so after going to my college at Gettysburg College, I learned that we have a very good study abroad program. And as a BS environmental science major, I really want to learn about not only the sciences behind climate change, but also the effects on people. And I've always learned about how climate change has impacted particularly Pacific Islands. And so when I learned about the program for the SIT Samoa program, I was really, really excited, and I knew that that was exactly where I wanted to go.
All right. For people who aren't familiar with this, what is the journey like from your hometown in central US to Samoa, for example?
The journey, it was very memorable. It really took me aback, to be honest with you. So originally I'm from the Chicagoland area in Illinois, and I can tell you right now that Samoa is completely different from Illinois. And I think coming on the program initially, I thought it was just going to be like a tropical area and that I'd be adopting a new culture, which I most definitely did, but I didn't I feel like I really didn't have a clear idea of what a developing nation is, because coming from the US and being born in the US, despite the fact that I'm Thai American and my parents are from Bangkok, Thailand, you don't you can learn as much as you can about a country and about a way of life, but until you're actually there and you're living it, you don't really know. Like people communicate differently. People um schooling is different, like expectations for schooling, expectations for each other. And I think socially that was might have been the hardest part of the program, just like fitting in with the culture and trying to connect with people. It definitely took me a while just because I'm very used to the American way of communication and like dialect and the way we view things. But it was very eye opening to meet new people who brought new ideas to me. And I could have conversations with people, but it did take some time to get used to.
So as an outsider coming to a Pacific island, what is one of the ways that you tried to, or were successful with connecting with local people?
I think one thing that really helped me is my personality because I'm a very talkative, very open person. Like I smile a lot. So even before going abroad, it's been very easy for me to meet people. And it just so happens that the culture in Samoa and on many of the Pacific Islands, it's a very loving, very warm type of atmosphere. Like everyone is considered family, whether you're blood related or not. Rather, in the US, you're considered family more if you're actually related by blood. But in places like Samoa, like my host family, they like adopted me as their own. They called me their daughter, and they treated me like I was a part of their actual literal family. And that's not always something you get to experience. So I was very thankful for that. But definitely just like the cultural approaches to friendship and family and love. Like Samoa is such a loving culture, and I'm very, very happy I was able to experience that.
Oh, that's great. I think you had some photos that you wanted to show. Speaking about your host family, I would love to see those.
Oh yeah, I can do a screen share right now if that would be okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, let me just get this going. Okay. I think if I do desktop, would that work? Or, oh no, Google Chrome probably. Okay, I'm just, ooh, I'm sorry, there's so many tabs up right now.
Oh, you're right.
Okay, I just have to get out of my email here. Okay, let me just do this quick screen share. My apologies for that. Okay. Okay, I think you all see my screen right now.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, perfect. Let me just put this in presentation mode. Okay, so hello everyone. And I put together a quick Google Slides presentation just with a couple of photos to show you my experiences abroad in Samoa, Fiji, and the islands of Hawaii. And it's mainly because it's a lot to talk about and it's nice to have photos to go along with it. So this was the SIT group. That was my family for the whole time during the program. So we were students from all over the US, from schools like Gettysburg College, Vanderbilt. We had a student from Bates College. And together we were a group of about 12 to 14. And we went on excursions together on all these beautiful Pacific islands. So in Hawaii, that was my first experience on an island. And that was where I was able to see a lot of beautiful biodiversity, Pacific Island cultures, and how to integrate myself within them. I had a week-long orientation in Honolulu with my program. And there I had a couple of mini excursions myself with my group of students from SIT. So here we went on a hike in the forest in Hawaii, and I think this is called a banyan tree. And their vines are massive and they're very, very strong. And here you see on the left, I'm literally swinging on a tree vine, which is something I never thought I would do. I only saw it in Tarzan before. And so this was in Hawaii. I wasn't even in Samoa yet. And after the week-long orientation in Hawaii, we traveled over to Samoa, which is primarily where the program was. So on the left here, you see my program again. That's me with all my other friends and all the other SIT study abroad students. And here is another picture of us. And here we have our program coordinators. There's Rona, Dr. Tayomi, and Lise. And we were one big happy family. In Samoa, there's something called a fale, which is like a traditional outdoor hut, as you see here on the left. And traditionally, people would sleep on the ground in fales. So they're open, they don't have walls. And that's just the way people lived and the way people used to sleep before. And on the right here, you have, this is traditionally made from like vines or things you find outside. And I think the coloring is made from different seeds that you find. And what is this called? Oh, I don't quite remember what it's called. But we went to a village, and within the village, they made this. So that was really cool. And it was really nice to see how they do that. But definitely one of the most rewarding experiences I had when I was abroad was meeting people, like all of my wonderful host families. So on the left here, this was my family in the village. I lived in the village of Amaile on the mountain sides of Samoa, and this was my grandmother, this was my cousin, this was my older sister, This was my younger brother. He was so cute. And here we were at church because when I was abroad, I adopted Christianity as my own religion, even though I'm actually Buddhist, but I wanted to fully immerse myself with the culture in Samoa. So I temporarily adopted Christianity for that purpose. And here they were originally assigned to be my first host family, but later I moved to live with another host family. So this was my host brother, host mother, this was my father, this is my friend. She was also in the program. So they were very nice. They all helped me with my Samoan and they treated me and they welcomed me into their family like I really was their own daughter or sister. This was a mini exchange I had as a Gilman International Scholar. I was invited to uh, be a part of an embassy program in Samoa. So this is the Samoan football team, I think, for one of the schools. And I was invited over to give a talk about an American education. So that was good. I was able to share my experiences from America. And oh, sorry. Ooh. Sorry, I need some water there. These are just a couple of photos to show you how beautiful the islands are. Here's a beach. This is what was this? This was like a cave pond type of area, and this is another beach. But the sunsets abroad in Samoa and in Hawaii and Fiji, they were just so beautiful, and you really can't see that scene anywhere else. Also, the nature was really, really lovely because I saw all of this different biodiversity that you can't see anywhere else. So I think this plant over here is I knew the name of it before. I don't quite remember, but everything was so colorful. Everything was very vibrant, whether it was the food or plants or whatever it was you'd find, like animals. Here we went on an excursion and we went to the Traditions Resort in Samoa. And there's something called Fia Fia Night in Samoa. And Fia is happy, happy in Samoan. And it's a celebration of their culture. It's a celebration of friendship and family. And as you can see, dance and fire is a really big part of that. So this is a really cool thing. It was a really cool thing to experience and really nice show to watch. After I was in Samoa for a while, we went on a trip and an excursion to Fiji. So here we're in the village, and you wear something like a traditional garment where you cover yourself from shoulder to your ankles. And that's to show respect primarily, and it's also just a really big part of the culture. Here, we went on a hike on the Singatoga sand dunes. So that's me looking very happy on top of a sand dune. And in this picture down here, we were in the village in Fiji, and we went out into the ocean to look for dolphins, which were considered ancestors of people within the village. And these are a couple of locals we ran into on another boat. And then moving on, oops, sorry. Can I not go back? Okay. So I'm a person who likes to take a lot of photos. So these are just a couple of fun photos I took, honestly. This was before the trip to the village. This was still in Hawaii. This was at one of the resorts in Samoa, but usually you don't wear your lava lava, this fabric this way. You wear it and you tie it around your waist. But this was just because I was at the pool. This was Hawaii. And this was when I went to the beach with my family in Samoa, I think during my first week of the program. And then this is a picture of my family from the village of Amaile in Samoa. These were my brothers. And you saw my grandma, my cousin, and my sister earlier. And if we have time, I can come back and show you a couple of YouTube videos of us dancing. Or actually, maybe I think I can go to one now, actually.
Yeah, do you wanna pick your favorite one? I know we have a bunch of them up on your journey homepage, right?
Yeah. So maybe I can show you maybe like 15 or 20 seconds of this first one.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a little bit blurry there. I don't know what happened to the quality, but during our time in the village, we sang and we learned different dances. So that was a really good experience to have, definitely. I think I lost my
Very
Zoom
cool.
spot.
Well, can
Okay.
I ask you a quick question? I know that you, like, in addition to all of these amazing cultural experiences, you were doing some research while you were there, right?
Right. So at the end of my SIT program, a really big part of the educational experience is you conduct research for a month. And so that's called the independent research portion. And my topic was looking at developing technologies in Samoa and how that can be used for sustainable architecture and sustainable climate resilient urban designs. And so I went around the island, I interviewed people, I took notes on their own personal experiences to climate change and how they've been adapting to climate change within their home communities and within the island. And I also use different engineering programs, like there's a computer aided design program called SketchUp, and I use that to help create designs of sustainable homes that would be more resilient to things like hurricanes and flooding and other catastrophic, awful climate related events that can happen on the island. So it was a really good research project. I was able to combine different social aspects with technology and environmental science to look towards the future of the city of Apia in Samoa. So that was a really nice experience. I think I definitely learned a lot and I gained a lot of experience as a student and definitely as an individual studying abroad too.
Fantastic. I have one more question for you, and then I want to turn it over to some of the questions from our audience today. But I know that some of the research you did while you were abroad has sort of contributed or helped you or given you some perspective on some of the things that have happened in your career since you returned from the Pacific.
Mhm. Right. So during my time abroad, I learned how I really like to learn about science, particularly climate change and other things related to that, and using technology to help people in a way that you predict what may happen and how we can keep those awful events from actually occurring. So when I came back from Samoa, I had an offer to work at NASA as a software engineering intern at the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. So I was able to use my experiences abroad, like solving, communication during my internship with NASA. And so for my internship, I worked with a lot of satellite data, and that was primarily for climate research and making the data available to the public. So I think by studying abroad, I definitely learned a lot about myself. I learned what I'm interested in studying, and that's continued on in my educational and in my career path because I'm coming back to NASA again. I'll be working at NASA this summer as an application programmer at the same center. And again, it's for climate research. And then after I finish up my second internship at NASA, I'm going to be working for a NASA contractor as a software engineer, again, for climate science and data research using satellite imagery to predict changes in the future and things of that nature. So definitely studying abroad helped me discover who I am and what I want to do.
Fantastic. I know we have a bunch of fifth grade science students who are watching today. So I hope that inspires them the way it inspires me. I wonder if you had some advice for any students who are watching. What would you recommend, say, if they were thinking about going into a science related field and wanted to get out and get some global experience? What would you recommend?
I would recommend that you definitely do it. It's an amazing adventure that you wouldn't have otherwise. And you learn a lot about the world when you study abroad. You learn a lot about yourself. And a lot of times that helps you when you're looking for a job or when you're going to college or when you're just doing your studies because you have a greater sense of awareness and you're able to think differently about different problems and different issues that you may come across when you're studying. And a lot of people don't have that perspective. So definitely if you want to study abroad, I highly encourage it. You can apply for scholarships like I did with like the Gilman International Scholarship. There are plenty of others too, but definitely go wherever your heart takes you.
All right, great. What if you, I mean, once we're all sort of freed from our homes and are free to wander again, what's the next adventure you'd want to take?
Is that just a general question, like
Yeah.
going
What's
somewhere?
what what's your next adventure if you could choose one?
I think not non-school or career related. I think I would want to go to Thailand to see my family, to meet my family that lives in Bangkok, Thailand, because I've never been there before. Uh, I really want to be able to have that experience too, especially after traveling abroad to Samoa. I think it'd be nice to immerse myself with my own culture in a way that I never have before. So that's definitely the next step that I would take.
All right. Great. That sounds like a good one. Hope that happens for you.
Me too. Not sure when.
I, as a general question about Samoa and the South Pacific, I know that we all, or at least I should speak for myself, picture it as a real, island paradise, and your photos certainly help to confirm some aspects of that. I wonder, in terms of wildlife, what sort of you talked a little bit about the dolphins. What other sorts of wildlife did you encounter while you were there?
There are plenty of lizards, very many different tropical birds. Like, I remember this one bird in particular. It was very red and it had this beautiful plumage. It was like yellow and green. And this bird always ran. And I don't think I've necessarily seen a bird run that fast for so long on the ground before. So, lizards, birds, dolphins. Swam in the ocean. I saw a shark literally 20 feet away from me. So that was cool. I was a little bit scared, but that was nice, and, a lot of tropical fish. I saw a lot of live coral, which you don't always see, especially in, like, touristy areas in Hawaii, but because in Samoa, a lot of the biodiversity is less disturbed than tourist areas like Hawaii, and the vegetation, the flowers, all the beautiful tropical trees, which we don't have here in America. There's just so much biodiversity blossoming everywhere you look on the islands.
Awesome. Sounds really nice. I've never been, but I would love to go there someday.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Will you teach us a phrase or a couple words in Samoan?
Oh yeah, I can definitely do that. Let me just think of a couple. Well, the most basic one is hello, which is talofa. So
Talofa.
yeah, that's hello. In Fiji, a lot of people say bula is a phrase to express happiness and general celebration of life. And a lot of times people like to clap when they say bula too. So
Hmm.
like in the village, we would drink something called kava, which was part of the traditional ceremony. And then we would clap our hands and we'd say bula, which is like, like life is good. I'm happy to be here with you.
Very cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Might incorporate that into my everyday life.
Oh yeah, I definitely should.
You touched on this really briefly, but I just wanted to go back. You have talked about going between Hawaii and Samoa and Fiji, and you make it sound very easy. Is it easy to get between these places physically?
No, it is not easy at all. So just going to Hawaii from the mainland in America was about an 8, 9 hour flight. It was a really cool experience too because the plane was gigantic and I've never been on a plane that big. Um, from Hawaii, it's about a 4 hour plane ride to the first island of Samoa because there are two islands. You take a boat for about an hour to get from one island of Samoa to Sabai, which is
Hmm.
the other island. To Fiji, you have to fly again, and I think that's about a 3 hour flight. So it's
Hmm.
not that bad, but I definitely did a lot of traveling abroad, not just within the country, but from coast to coast, island to island. And after a while, you do feel a little bit physically tired, but when you step out and you're on that island or you're in that new space, you know it definitely is worth it.
How do you notice any immediate differences when you get off an airplane in a different island? I mean, like what distinguishes Fiji from Samoa, for example, or what did you notice?
The humidity level, I knew the minute I stepped off the plane that I wasn't in Samoa anymore because the humidity level just dropped by like so much. I think it's because of the location of each of the islands within the Pacific Ocean and where you are, like latitude wise.
Huh.
But it is very, very hot and humid in Samoa. In Fiji, it's still pretty hot, but it's less hot and the humidity is what you feel the most. So when I was in Fiji, it was a lot less humid. So the minute I stepped off the plane, I was like, okay, this feels a little bit cooler. It feels a little bit more like um, a little bit more like American weather. I mean, not really. It was still hot, but I knew it was different from Samoa.
Very interesting.
Mhm.
That's awesome. And my colleague Chris has put a final call for questions in the chat bar. I want to ask you, just generally speaking, what is if there's one thing you are going to take away from your study abroad experience? I know it's probably a difficult question. What would you say was the greatest benefit of studying abroad?
I would say it's probably a tie between two things. The first thing is I'm a better communicator now, and I feel like it's a lot easier for me to make connections with people who maybe before I would think were very different from me. Because you can always connect with people. There's always some level that you can touch base with people and talk to them and communicate with them through. But I think the second thing is I'm very comfortable with being uncomfortable at this
Mhm.
point. I think even right now during the whole pandemic, the global pandemic, and being put in quarantine, it's a very uncomfortable situation for anyone. It's unexpected. Nobody saw it coming. But I think after studying abroad, I'm a lot more used to being unexpectedly brought up with these experiences.
Mhm.
So I'm able to control my thoughts better, which overall is better for me, better for my well-being, and I can approach these harder issues in a more logical way.
All right, very interesting. Fantastic. Alyssa, thank you so much for sharing your perspectives on your experience abroad with us. Good luck this summer with your continued internship with NASA. I just want to say thank you to our entire YouTube live stream audience and the people who are going to be watching this video a little bit later for joining us. Anyone who'd like can join us again on Thursday at noon Eastern. We're going to be connecting with Fulbright scholar Jeffrey Thiele, learning about his experiences in El Salvador. You can find a complete list of upcoming Reach the World live stream events at home.reachtheworld.org. Thank you again, Alyssa. Have a great day, and we'll see you all again soon.
Okay, thank you. Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye.